Hey everyone, this is Alex. I'm going to take us through my final project on the genre of use systems in graphic and information design. My project is intended to illustrate functional information design, so I've developed a series of instruction sheets for 4 card games in an effort to demonstrate the genre of representing use systems in graphic design. The primary goal of this project is to develop visually appealing diagrams which efficiently convey information to users. Most of my effort has been put into conveying as much information as possible simply and without unnecessary embellishments. Economical design is centered around the notion that every element involved serves a specific purpose. Nothing exists in these diagrams that is not intended to facilitate the digestion of the information presented. These games vary greatly in complexity of play, making the development of minimalistic and effective instructions challenging. I've juxtaposed demonstrative visuals with paragraphs of text where each visual corresponds to one written step. Some games require significantly more text to convey all information necessary for cohesive understanding of gameplay. I wanted to make these games more accessible than they would otherwise be without visual examples. I utilized photo collage as a medium for visual representation. This was intended to maintain the individuality of each card, allowing the user to follow not just the suit and rank, but to also recognize and follow individual cards across their varying positions within the diagram by their unique texture, lighting, and wear. Another purpose of this design decision was to provide a level of realism and accessibility to the diagrams. Creating digital icons for each card would have enabled a more polished appearance, but would become sterile and less interesting, less accessible, and less welcoming to casual players. Each diagram takes the user through different points in time, utilizing proximity between elements, scale, color, and negative space to guide the eye from the beginning of gameplay to its conclusion. Purely textual instructions can provide a comprehensive overview of a gameplay system, but cannot easily be followed along with while playing. I believe that these diagrams enable dynamic action and play in tandem with learning and experimentation through first-hand experience. I want the users to play along as they learn the rules for the first time. I've structured these diagrams around 2 5x7 and 2 5x8 grids, utilizing 3 columns for visuals, 2 for textual explanations of each step, and using 7 or 8 rows to house each individual step. When mapping these games out, I was able to compile each into 7 or 8 individual steps. This helped me to determine the structure of my grid and allowed me to develop a consistent underlying structure across the 4 diagrams. I've tried to use as few icons as possible while still maintaining a clear path through the gameplay. I utilize arrows to demonstrate the movement of cards throughout the game. These arrows are mostly black and neutral, occasionally utilizing a gradient across a series of arrows to convey direction and timing from the lightest, which would be the oldest step, arrow to the darkest, which would be the newest. I occasionally utilize arrows comprised of curved ellipses to demonstrate continuation of an action according to a variable number of players involved in the game. My primary clarifying tool in these diagrams is color overlay, where I use green to represent a positive action, red to represent a negative action, orange to represent high-risk situations, and yellow to highlight critical, pivotal, and definitive moments within play. For games which involve physical interaction, such as slapping, I have incorporated a photo collaged hand to represent the real actions players will be taking. Where players express things verbally, I've used color-coded speech bubbles to convey both language and the implications of what they say. My yellow and purple rectilinear forms are intended to guide the eye through the steps of gameplay in a linear motion, as well as identify certain unique aspects of the game. These colors separate distinct visual elements and actions and serve as structural components which guide users through the diagrams. In my solely two-person games, War and Spit, I have used these two color blocks primarily to note the separation between the two players and to guide the reader vertically down the page from beginning to end. In Egyptian Rat Screw, the purple form is used to accentuate a point in gameplay where several different scenarios are possible. This purple section serves to provide a hypothetical list of options during live gameplay. In Bologna, the purple section is utilized to accentuate a critical moment where players can drastically alter the outcome of the game. In Egyptian Rat Screw and Bologna, the yellow forms serve the primary purpose of taking the user through gameplay in the correct order from top to bottom. Each diagram's title is encased in either a yellow or purple rectangle, whichever differentiates it most from the adjacent column where the visual elements for my steps are. I've typeset the steps in these diagrams with 12-point Futura medium and set the titles in 28-point Futura bold. The bold heading is a significantly larger size, which differentiates it as the most important textual element in each diagram. It explains what the sheet is and what it does. The body text is small but still larger than the 9 or 10-point type used in most written publications. I did this to heighten legibility when glancing back and forth at the instructions between taking physical actions while playing the game. I chose Futura for its crisp efficiency and geometric structure. Much like my diagrams themselves, the individual letters in this typeface are shaped primarily by their function and are devoid of all embellishment. Sans serif typefaces can encourage users to impose their own individual interpretations of tone and severity onto neutral and informationally centric bodies of text. I've anchored each textual step to the bottom of its corresponding visual column. Utilizing a typeface with a modern and neutral demeanor in juxtaposition with energetic visuals incorporating high contrast, vivid color, photo collage elements, and clarifying symbols, I have attempted to create materials which are welcoming and intriguing while walking the line between being whimsical and serious. I hope that these designs can catch the attention of viewers and inspire them to start playing these games. These diagrams can be utilized in digital mediums as physical sheets, which could be included in sets of playing cards, or as guides integrated directly into game lounge tables. I believe the most successful application for these diagrams would be full integration as dedicated instruction materials on gaming tables where these games could be played. To demonstrate this, I've included a mock-up of how these diagrams could be incorporated into gaming tables in a club, lounge, or bar. So now I just want to briefly go through each of my 4 instructions. So we'll start with War. So first step, shuffle the deck. You have the deck and the shuffle symbol. Divide deck evenly between 2 players. So that's what starts the purple and yellow blocks in the 2 columns of players' cards. Then each player flips their top card. The player with the card of the higher value wins round. Adds the card to their own deck. So the green just says this one won, and it's pulling it down there. Repeat until you get a tie, and you have to do the war thing with the 3 cards face down. And then the 4th face up, and the higher one wins that. Repeat as necessary until you break the tie. And then, this one gets all those cards. You can see them down here in green after they've sort of been absorbed. And then you just repeat until one player wins. All right, and then Next one, Egyptian rat screw. So step 1 again, shuffle deck. Divide cards evenly among players. So this is where we have the gradient arrows saying that this is the most recent one, this is the oldest one to be pulled. This is saying that it just keeps going until you've cycled through all the players, because there can be more than 5. And then again, showing the order of who plays what. So starting to the left of the dealer, they place the 9, next person places the 6, then we have the 10, going clockwise perpetually until you get the double. So when you get a double, you slap the deck and claim it. The goal of this game is to get all the cards. So this is just like pulling them all into that deck. And then after that, it would be the next person's turn. This loads. Great. Then they just keep going, business as usual. Starting a new pile. Person after the slap starts. So then they go, and then they go, and it's just showing that we've been going back and forth for a while, and then we get to a face card, the first face card, which is yellow because it is a pivotal moment. So when you get a face card in this game, they have 4 meanings depending on the rank. Jack, you have 1 chance to get a face card, or the person who pulled the face card gets the pile. Queen, 2 chances. King, 3. Ace, 4. So that is vertically just showing the different options connected to that in the purple box. And basically you just do that, repeat everything until one person gets all the cards. And for baloney, which you may know by another name, start by shuffling the deck, dividing cards evenly among all players. The players look at their own cards, but keep them hidden from everyone else. And the person to the left of the dealer takes any pairs or multiples they have and starts the game by getting rid of them all at once. If everyone believes them, they let it happen. Just showing the next person has some cunning ideas here, trying to get a little extra card down there, even though this person over here has the 4th king. So when they say, oh, I'm putting 4 kings down, this person knows they're lying and yells baloney. So then they have to prove it or disprove it, flip it over. You see they only have 3 kings and an ace, so they get a nice red outline and have to take all the cards. And then this person knows that the next card after king is going to be ace, so they have an ace ready to go. They're honest, they play the ace. The next person's ready to go with a 2 over here. And you just keep going back and forth until one person is able to get rid of all their cards. And then we have the final one, spit. So spit's a 2-person game. Divide the cards up in half. Set them up in 5 rows, ranging from 1 card to 5 cards, incrementally from left to right. Flipping the top card, take the rest of the cards that you didn't put into these 5 piles into your extra card stack. And both players have one of those. They flip the top card, put it in the center, and then they start going up or down from those starting points wherever they can, as fast as they can, keeping the 5 stacks in play as long as they can. So this one just shows them putting the cards in, and then they're yellow, which means these are, I wanted to show that these are the same. They flip them over. It's pivotal in that they get new cards and can have more moves. And that goes until someone runs out of their 5 card stack, and then whoever slaps the smaller pile first wins it. Since the goal is to get rid of all the cards. So this person on the left not only got rid of all their cards, but they knew they were going to do that, so they slapped the smallest pile first, meaning the person with the most cards gets stuck with even more. So there's a red shape pulling the cards into their pile. So then they reset the stack with what they have left. The person on the left's doing pretty good. They don't have enough for a second pile. So then they have to play with just one pile from the other player, which means that this person runs out of all the cards and slaps. They win the game. So that's what I'm showing here. Someone who finished all of their cards and slapped the pile and won the game.